Hello friends and welcome to my channel. I'm Cher and today we are going to be sharing a fun prom makeup look. So it is that time of year for all things prom, not just prom but also end of the year banquets, graduation parties, all those things that happen. I mean work parties, formal fancy dinners and celebrations. And so I'm just thinking about all these events that take place this time of year. I thought it'd be fun to walk you through a fun, I don't know, if you want to do your own makeup, just come up with a prom makeup look that you can do on your own and walk you through what I would do if I was doing your makeup professionally for prom so that you can kind of get a feel for it yourself, kind of a step-by-step tutorial. So we are going to walk you through that in today's episode. If you are new here, I usually blog mostly beauty. My handle is Cher's Beauty on Instagram. You can follow me there. I have other social media as well, TikTok, Pinterest, Facebook. And then I also have my handle for just my makeup practice and business, Soul Food Beauty and Spa. So I'm going to leave all of those Instagram handles for you and all my social media down below so you can check me out. All right, so without further ado, we are going to get started. We're going to first moisturize, okay? So moisture is very important before you start to layer on your makeup. So we want to have that layer on first. So the first thing that I always start on is brows whenever I do anybody's makeup. And it's because if you kind of start with the eyes first in this whole area, it helps keep from having fallout from your eye makeup down into your foundation and concealers and stuff that are going to be down here. So it's just nice to always start with the eyes. That's just the way that I do it, and that's the reason I do it. Okay, I decided because this video was so long, I needed to just do a voiceover and make this be a fast forward. So we're starting with a clear brow gel, and this is the NYX Control Freak. This is what's going to help you kind of get those more fluffy brows. And if you start with this first and then come in with a pencil, it makes you be able to avoid the more block brows in the end. And then I usually use the Arbonne pencil, but I was out of it, so I had to do the e.l.f. So that's kind of my second backup, my drugstore pick whenever I do brows. L'Oreal's really good too, but I like to support cruelty-free. So we're just going in and we're lining on the bottom of the brow line here. Only fill in where you need to, or you're going to have that block brow look. And then we're using the little brush part to kind of comb up, and I'm making sort of feathery movements here with my pencil. Same on the other side. And then we're going to come back through with some concealer to help line and make everything precise. Okay, and I'm coming in with some Mary Kay Perfecting Concealer. I normally really love the Camo Concealer by e.l.f. or I use my RCMA palettes on a lot of my clients too. But this just happens to be what I had on hand right beside me and I was lazy. So I also like to use one of these brushes that has kind of like a square shape, as you can see. I really love the Jaclyn Hill brushes, but I tend to go a little more cheap when I'm just doing my own makeup because I have to sanitize my brushes in between whenever I'm using all my fancy client brushes. So we're using this brush to kind of map around the eyes, and this also helps prime our eyes so that everything doesn't shift, so that it helps you have a nice flawless base to make the eyeshadow pop more as well. And we're going to cover it up with some translucent powder to help things set as well. This helps with when you are sweating and dancing and all of that jazz, just to keep things from creasing and shifting out of place when it's concealer. So you will see that I come back over anywhere that I put the concealer with a powder, like a translucent powder, to help set. Okay, and then we're going to use the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. It's a collaborative palette here, and I love it because it has all those like pinks and nudes, and it's just perfect for like prom and formal and wedding makeup, that kind of thing. We want to start off using a very fluffy brush, and this is going to be good for blending. And I always start with the transition color, which tends to be almost like a nude or neutral color a lot of times. This one has a little bit of a pinky tint, and I think the shade of this was called Pooter, which is hilarious. I just love that. So we're going over the eyes with like an arch type shape, almost like the rainbow over the eyelids. And we use that fluffy brush to really just kind of blend it and blend it all out. This is our transition color, or like kind of the base color on everything. And then we're going to come in and we're going to do the sides. We're going to do kind of like a sideways V. I tend to use either one of two brushes. Sometimes I'll use like a fluffy brush as well that's just smaller than the other one, or I'll use a more precise like packing brush that has more of like an angled tip because it just makes it easier to do this sideways V. So as you can see, I'm applying kind of like a sideways V on the side of the eyes here. I'm going in with more of a cranberry type color. I'm going to put the color names down at the bottom here for you too. And then I'm going to come back over it and kind of blend it out with a fluffier brush. That packing brush makes it just a little more precise to apply it, and then a fluffier brush is going to make it more for blending. Then we're going to come back over with a light color on the lid, and I'm just putting down a solid light color, and we're packing it on. Just kind of tap, 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 tap. Now I'm using a flat packing brush, and then we're going to put this pink shimmer color on top of that. Same method, tap, 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 tap with a packing brush. Okay, and I still kind of want to have a little bit darker color just to kind of transition against the really light color and the cranberry color there. So I came in with another like dark pink shimmer, just a little touch in between. And now I'm going to come back in with that original color Pooter, and we're going to use it to blend everything back. We want to, this is a very important step where you take your darker outside color and you kind of blend it around back over that transition step, just so everything's blended. And now I'm coming under the eyes with the same colors, the cranberry and that Pooter. Now we're moving on to Stila, and I'm putting down the color Kitten. Kind of a tap, tap, tap motion again with a packing brush, and really kind of bringing it up into the crease, give you that really highlighted effect. This is one of my favorite steps. I always love these liquid eyeshadows for prom and bridal makeup. Before we do that, I'm going to come in with some eyeliner. Just watch me do my eyeliner. I'm probably going to take it all the way around and do more of like a feline, because that's what's really in style, is that feline eyeliner look. But anyway, I'm going to talk while I do my eyeliner. I'm going to try. We're going to keep it as tight as we can around the waterline. But anyway, so I never really liked makeup much. I was a band nerd. I don't know. I thought I was into the whole natural look, blah, 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 blah. Well, when it came time for prom, so my junior prom was different from my senior prom. My junior prom, I don't know, I felt like a complete princess, even though I don't think I even wore makeup. I just had like the dress of my dreams. It was my little school boyfriend and I mean, I don't want to say. Anyway, I had a, pretty steady boyfriend or whatever, for those years. But my junior prom was actually, I think that was like our first date officially. So we had liked each other for a while, you know how high school is. And he had been dating somebody else. I think I had dated somebody else, and we liked each other through that. And I didn't want to date him while he had a girlfriend, and he didn't either. And I think it was one of those things where just like the timing just never quite worked out, but we still liked each other. And I think right before prom, he ended up breaking up with his girlfriend and asked me to prom. And so prom was like our first official date, and then we had dated for like 2 or 3 years after that. So he was kind of like what I consider to be my like high school boyfriend, and into college too. But anyway, so junior prom was like this magical Cinderella night. It was amazing. And then senior prom, we were still together, and so we still went. Now he was actually already in college. He was a year older than me. So it was my senior prom, but he was in college, but he was my date. And so on that one, my neighbor was actually a makeup artist, and she offered to do my makeup for free, like as her gift to me. And I just was not big on makeup, but I was just kind of like, okay, whatever. Sure, that's great. That's nice of you. Okay, next I'm just going to do some mascara, but we are going to wear lashes, because for a formal event, you got to have lashes. So I am going to first apply them. It just helps them kind of stick to the lashes better, to be honest with you.
Okay, now we're going to come in and start on our base. Like I said, I always do base after the eyes. I'm going to use the L'Oreal Lumi Glow as a primer, just to kind of give you that extra glow for the night, because we all want to be kind of glowy and dewy for our prom. So I'm kind of spreading it around with a foundation brush. I would recommend more of like a kabuki flat brush. I just kind of happen to have this double-sided brush that I really love. And one thing you want to do is kind of apply it either to your hand or on a mixing pan or something, and then blend it to your face so that you don't just have splotches on your face.
So I am putting on my Arbonne, is what I use on all my clients, liquid foundation. It has fantastic coverage, isn't cakey, you name it. And same idea, I'm taking it from my hand and I am spreading it on my face. And I'm just kind of stippling. I think I said it right this time. Last time I was like, staple, stipple. So anyway, continuing with my story. So I wasn't sure if I wanted the makeup, but I just was like, well, she's sweet. I don't want to hurt her feelings. I'll take a gift, I guess, whatever. So I let her do my makeup, and you guys, I ended up washing the makeup off that night when I got to prom. I was like, it just didn't feel right. I just was not like, I wasn't into wearing it much. Back then in the 90s, like eyeliner was the thing. I don't know. It was just, I just wasn't sure. So I ended up with, my makeup all done professionally, and I washed it off. So different from how I am now. It's crazy. I'm going to have to bring my pictures out and show you the picture of how I looked. So I'll show you like my junior prom picture and then my senior prom picture, and you can see just to give you the backstory on that. Okay, so we've kind of got our base all mapped out. I'm going to go back to the concealer now.
Okay, so we're going to use the concealer to kind of map the face, more of a highlighting effect. I'm going to do it under the eyes and a little bit onto the forehead and nose and Cupid's bow, all of that. If you have more color issues like acne or dark circles under your eyes, you can use more color correcting concealer first. Perhaps like a yellow or an orange for the under eye bags. You'd go with a green if you're looking to color redness like acne. But I don't really have a lot of those problems, so we're just going to come in with regular colored concealer at this point, and I like to map it as so. You can see that I also kind of really lifted the eyes on the outsides. This kind of just gives you more of a lifting effect instead of dragging the face down. And then we're going to use that more fluffier concealer brush to blend everything in. Now we're using the translucent powder again to touch back over wherever I put the concealer. I am putting on Coty Airspun. This is a nice drugstore dupe. Works really well.
Okay, now we're going to come in with some bronzer, and I'm using my Arbonne bronzer. I'm going to go back to my story. So how I got into makeup when I hated it in high school and like around prom. What happened was I got into college, and I think this was maybe the end of my freshman year of college. I had a friend who sold Mary Kay, and she had a party, and all the girls were at the party, and it was like a big sorority party kind of thing. Sorry, so I'm using bronzer a little bit to almost like contour. I kind of come down here and chisel out under my cheekbone. I do a little bit on the chin here, and then I'm going to use it to contour pretty much like up here along my forehead area. And then I just really try to blend it in because this bronzer is very pigmented. So anyway, I went to it and I started like really loving all the stuff, and we did a little makeover, and I loved how I looked. I was like, wow, that makes a huge difference. And I don't know what happened. I started getting into it. Then around the same time, guys, I read this book, and it was kind of a joke. Like a friend had gotten it for me for my birthday, and she had given me like two different books. One was kind of a cheeky, funny, sorry, I'm looking for a contour brush. I normally have a nose contour brush, but you can totally use like an eyeshadow brush or just do your finger. I'm going to use a little eyeshadow brush and we're going to contour on the nose real quick. So anyway, she gave me this book, two books. One was like How to Marry Rich, which was more her thing. And then the other one, it was called The Rules. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. Highly recommend it for anybody who is in high school, any of my girls out there who have not read it. And guys, you need to read it. So it's almost like a play hard to get book, but I'm telling you, it boosts your confidence and it makes you recognize like not to settle for anything that is below your value. And as you have this self-confidence, the guys or girls, whoever you're into, start to see that and are so much more attracted to you because you have confidence, you're secure, you know your worth, you know, all these things. And it makes them want you more. So I read this book and it was fabulous. And one of the things in it, though, that it said was never go outside without your makeup on, never go anywhere without looking your best, which is kind of silly sounding. It completely goes against all the like, love yourself as you are, your natural beauty, blah, blah, blah. But it just really stuck with me. And I started wearing makeup everywhere I went. Lo and behold, I had dates like every freaking weekend. The guys were like coming out of the woodwork. And I was like, well, this rocks. And, you know, I mean, I had guys interested in me in high school and stuff, you know. But it was like my freaking phone was ringing off the hook all the time. Like they were driving me nuts. They were driving me nuts, guys. Like it was like I literally, like a week before I met my husband, I was like, okay, I'm done dating. I can't do this anymore. This is getting overwhelming. I am tired of the men like hitting me up constantly. Like it got to that point. It was like pretty awesome. And then I met my husband and I was like, wait, what was it I said about not dating? Okay, maybe I can make an exception. And that's kind of how that went down. All right, I'm using my Arbonne, one of the blush duos. This is like one of my favorite colors. I use this all the time on clients. I forgot what it's called though. Rhubarb. So anyway, when I started seeing the difference in the guys, like, I just felt amazing. I felt pretty every day. Really boosted my self-confidence. And the rest is history. I've been into makeup ever since. I actually ended up starting to sell Mary Kay myself. And that was actually my first, I don't want to say like professional, but that was kind of where I started learning makeup and beauty education was for Mary Kay, and then the rest is history from there. So that's kind of the story of how I got into makeup and what a difference from when I first started. All right, so we just applied the blush, kind of blended into the bronzer. Next, I'm going to come in with highlight.
Okay, and now we're just going to pop on some highlight. So I'm going to be using the Saint, another MLM, and this is one of my favorite highlights. This is called Glamazing. It's their illuminator, and it is just one of my favorites. I use it all the time in bridal. Look at that pop. So I'm coming down the nose and on the cheek line. We need to blend it in a little bit. But one of my favorite places to do it is right there in the pop of the eyes, like in the little corners there, and get you a tiny little brush to apply it. Okay, and then we're going to come back in with the translucent powder again and really line the nose area here and along the bronze underneath it so that it really sculpts it out and gives it that chiseled look. And we're going to let it kind of bake for a few minutes. And this is going to help us to have, first of all, that chiseled look, but also kind of set the smile lines so that it's not shifting all night while you're laughing and playing. And then you see we're moving on to lips. So I have LA Girl Blushing, which is a favorite lip liner. I like it as much as MAC lip liners. And we're going around and lining the lips and overlining them. And then we're going to use Anastasia Beverly Hills Sweet Pea lipstick. And finally coming back over it with lip gloss, I'm using my Arbonne. This is called Calla. It makes a really pretty like pink shade. Okay, and then real quick before we do lash glue, I'm going ahead and putting on another little layer of eyeliner. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills liner, and you just come in and apply it with an angled brush, and I got a little dab on the bottom there, but I always apply this on my clients. It's actually called a black water cream, I believe, but I use it as eyeliner. And now I'm putting lash glue on. We're using the Duo Lash Glue. Make sure that you apply extra on the inside corners and the outside corners. The inside corners are especially what will pop up really easily, so I always apply extra. You want to wait until it turns kind of like a purpley color, let it dry for a couple minutes. Usually it's up to about 30 to 60 seconds depending on the glue. And while it's drying, we're going to go ahead and wipe off all of that powder that we had put on to bake. And then we'll get started on glue. But first, we're actually going to apply some finishing powder. This is different from translucent powder and setting powders. This is just your finishing touch. I'm using Arbonne Second Nature powder. This is the color Light. And this is to just kind of help come back over and give you a really smooth texture, kind of that airbrushed look. So finishing powder, different from setting powder. And then we're going to spray it with some setting spray. I'm using the NYX setting spray, so good drugstore. And now we're going to come apply those lashes. I just put them on with my fingers instead of tweezers. Just make sure that your glue is dry and line it up evenly so that you can tell. I have on still some pretty cheap ones off of Amazon I'd gotten. That's it. So I would love to get my old prom dress out and wear it with this look and see how it looks, but I think that about wraps it up. Let's see how it looks with my hair down. I need some like good jewelry to make myself look fancy. What do you think? Just a very like pretty pink, sparkly, extra glammed out look. So I'm ready for prom, guys. That about wraps it up. If you liked this, make sure you hit like and subscribe, and I will have more of these in the future. So catch you on the next one.